Being an actor is amazing, except for when you have to push your body and mind to their absolute limits to prepare for a role. That intensity can lead to some amazing performances though, like Joaquin Phoenix in Joker or Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. While it's not a hard rule, it's pretty clear the more an actor commits to a role, the better they bring it to life. That's why in this video, the Binger is going to cover the wildest things actors have done to prepare for their roles. Margot Robbie is a terrific actor and has made a major splash in Hollywood despite only working in the scene for less than a decade. She was exceptionally memorable in The Wolf of Wall Street, kept the DCEU alive as Harley Quinn, and perfectly embodies Sharon Tate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. However, a lot of Robbie's roles have her playing things pretty close to home. This wasn't the case when she played Tonya Harding in the 2017 film I, Tonya. For this role, Robbie spent 5 months learning how to ice skate. This training often left her battered and bruised and even gave her a herniated disc in her neck. Learning her way around the ice rink definitely wasn't a walk in the park. This preparation paid off though, and Robbie gave a breathtaking performance in I, Tonya. She made the skating seem believable and really dug into the nuance of a, let's say, complicated public figure. Robbie didn't just break her back preparing for this role, she broke her neck, and that commitment really shows in her performance. 2019's Joker was a weird movie in a lot of ways. While the critical response to it was mixed and the conversation around it was more about genre than anything else, people turned out in droves to see it. A big part of why so many people showed up for this movie is because of Joaquin Phoenix's performance as the Clown Prince of Crime. Phoenix underwent a lot of preparation for this role and really committed to bringing the unsettling villain to life. He lost a concerning amount of weight to the point where all his ribs and most of his vertebrae were showing. He also strove to get into the mindset of the clown and did his best to scare or unsettle himself every day while filming. While this kind of regimen is pretty common for people who portray the Joker, you still have to respect Phoenix's dedication to the part. By the sound of it, Phoenix was way less of a jerk to people than Jared Leto was in his Joker preparation. That's also commendable and cements Phoenix as a phenomenal performer. We haven't seen Marvel's The Eternals yet. Nobody has. So we can't really talk about how good the movie is or how it fits into the post-Avengers Endgame MCU. But we can talk about how actor and comedian Kumail Nanjiani got absolutely ripped for his role in the movie. Surprising many, Nanjiani posted a shirtless photo of himself to Instagram not that long ago that showed off his chiseled physique. The big sick and Silicon Valley star was apparently working out for a year in secret to prepare for his time as a superhero. Needless to say, his hard work definitely paid off. Nanjiani was also surprisingly candid about his fitness regimen. Basically, he said he couldn't have done it if Disney wasn't giving him the money and the resources to do so. While getting jacked is an impressive feat, having personal trainers, a state-of-the-art gym, and getting paid millions of dollars to do so makes the process a bit easier. Still, for getting this fit and reminding us of the unique circumstances that allowed him to do so, Nanjiani definitely deserves a shout-out. A lot of roles require an actor to heavily alter their appearance. Usually this is done with practical effects, costuming, and stage makeup, so that a performer can lead their usual life off-set. Rooney Mara dialed it up a notch for her performance as Lisbeth Salander in 2010's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. For this role, Mara dyed her hair black and had it cut to look jagged and lopsided, almost like she had done it herself. The real kicker though is that Mara got actual piercings to match her character. That's right, Mara pierced her eyebrow, lip, nose, septum, and even nipple to better inhabit her role. That is some painful dedication right there, and her commitment definitely shows in the movie. Even if piercings are relatively temporary, Mara physically modified her body for this part. She could have used fake piercings or some other movie magic, but Mara went all in for this role, and it definitely shows. At least she stopped short of getting an actual dragon tattoo. That might have been a bit overkill. Black Swan is a phenomenal movie that shows the physical and mental anguish that a lot of professional dancers endure to just make ends meet in their field. To prepare for her role in this movie, Natalie Portman got a taste of that anguish and underwent ballerina training. 8 hours a day for months on end, Portman pushed her body so hard that she even dislocated a rib during a session. More than once during this training, Portman believed that this role would literally break her. Even if that hellish preparation might seem too extreme, it's hard to argue with the results. Portman's performance in Black Swan is easily one of the best in her career. The film is also a masterpiece that is still analyzed and critiqued nearly a decade after its release. Instead of a swan, Portman is more like a phoenix here. After nearly destroying herself, she soared to some of the greatest heights in the history of cinema. Not a bad trade.
Oh, and while we're here, don't forget to subscribe to The Binger if you haven't already. Turn on notifications too so you don't miss a thing. We all know how YouTube can be. If you're on mobile, you can turn these on by going into your settings. Now, on with the show.
Robert De Niro is arguably the most accomplished actor alive today. He rose to superstardom thanks to his dozens of prolific performances. A big part of De Niro's success boils down to him giving his all in each and every one of his roles. Seriously, even in his weirder movies like Analyze This and Dirty Grandpa, De Niro shows up and puts in the work. It should be no surprise to learn then that De Niro has done some pretty weird stuff to bring his characters to life. Chief among that weird stuff is him actually working as a taxi driver before filming the movie Taxi Driver. While the movie was in pre-production, De Niro worked 12-hour cabbie shifts for a month to get into the right headspace for the part. Oh, he also lost 35 pounds and listened to the diaries of a would-be presidential assassin on loop. Hopefully he didn't listen to the audio diaries while working as a taxi driver. That really would have cut into the number of tips he made. Okay, so this extreme thing technically happened during filming rather than beforehand, but it's so intense and hilarious that we have to include it. So, you know that scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin where Steve Carell's character has his chest waxed? Well, yeah, that's totally real. Steve Carell insisted to lead writer and director Judd Apatow that this scene be in the movie, and then they shot it a few days later. This scene involved 5 cameras and was done in a single take. All of the cast's reactions are genuine, and their commentary is based on seeing their co-star get a body wax in front of them. You can really feel the sincerity in this scene, and it plays a big role in making the movie so hilarious. Technically, we can say that Steve Carell grew out his body hair in preparation for this part, which, okay, that's not very intense considering he grew it out for the purpose of it being ripped off him. He definitely deserves some major props, and maybe some painkillers and an ice pack. Celebrated actor Bryan Cranston has starred in some of the best television programs of the last few decades. From Malcolm in the Middle to Breaking Bad, this performer can expertly fill a wide variety of roles. To nail his iconic performance as drug kingpin Walter White, though, Cranston got a little bit of coaching. Not in acting, though. For this role, Cranston got a crash course in how to make crystal meth. While this might seem pretty bizarre, Cranston would have to know at least the basics of the process to portray it on screen. It's also not exactly a secret recipe or anything. Seriously, basic chemistry equipment and internet access are all most folks need to get started. By the way, crystal meth is really bad, and you shouldn't make it or consume it ever. Just saying. Bryan Cranston learning how to make it, though? Now that's pretty interesting, and one of the many examples of him giving a role his all. You gotta wonder if he learned how to make giant monsters for his performance in Godzilla. Well, since he was only in that movie for like 12 minutes, probably not. Christian Bale is as much a shapeshifter as he is an actor. Famously, he lost 65 pounds for his role in the 2004 film The Mechanist. Then, he gained about 70 pounds of muscle to play Batman in the Christopher Nolan films only a year later. Most recently, the actor gained more than 40 pounds since his Batman days to portray Dick Cheney in the 2018 movie Vice. Apparently, pies helped Bale gain the former VP's appearance, as well as shaving his head. Even if studios are paying for Bale to alter his figure, swinging back and forth between lifestyles is incredibly taxing. It takes a lot of dedication and self-control for Bale to risk his health and well-being like this. He definitely deserves every ounce of recognition. By the sounds of it, Bale is done altering his weight for acting roles. That's probably for the best though. The actor is currently in his mid-40s, and one more 70-pound shift would probably stop him from seeing his 50s. Eat as much pie as you want, Christian Bale. Last but not least is celebrated actor Daniel Day-Lewis. If you know anything about Hollywood, you know that Lewis goes full tilt for each and every one of his roles. His method acting is so legendary that we could probably fill an entire top 10 video with just the intense stuff that he has done. Here's a handful of the wild things Lewis did to prep for his roles. He built several canoes for his role in The Last of the Mohicans. He refused to leave his character's wheelchair during the production of My Left Foot. He also stayed in character during the entire production of the movie Lincoln, even taking cell phone calls as the president. Daniel Day-Lewis goes full tilt for a role or he doesn't take an acting job. While this level of commitment isn't and definitely shouldn't be the norm, it's a big part of why Lewis is one of the most celebrated actors ever. All things considered, he has more than earned his early retirement. What do you think of these actor antics? Do you know of any good Hollywood stories that we missed? Please let us know in the comments section below. While you're there, also remember to like this video, subscribe to The Binger, and ring the bell. We have more Hollywood insights coming soon, and you're not gonna want to miss them.